Imagine waking up one day to the gentle caress of sunlight filtering through pristine white curtains. The air hums softly with the almost imperceptible whisper of a state-of-the-art ventilation system. You stretch, feeling the exquisite comfort of high thread count Egyptian cotton against your skin. A notification glows on your bedside table, a reminder of your perfectly curated day, a schedule filled with meaningful work, stimulating social engagements, and ample time for self-care, yoga, meditation, the pursuit of your passions. A gourmet breakfast, prepared by your personal chef, awaits downstairs, every taste, every aroma, a symphony of pleasure. Your work, when you finally engage with it, is not merely a job, but a calling, a source of profound satisfaction and recognition. Your colleagues are not just co-workers, but a supportive, inspiring community. Your evenings unfold with laughter, connection, and the comforting knowledge that you are loved, you are valued, you are successful. This is the life you envisioned, the life you worked tirelessly to create. It is a life meticulously crafted for happiness, a life that by all external metrics should be overflowing with joy. And yet, as you move through this flawlessly designed existence, a subtle dissonance begins to surface, a faint, almost imperceptible hum of unease beneath the polished veneer. It's in the fleeting moments of quiet, when the curated soundtrack of your life fades into the background. It's in the split-second pause before you offer a practiced smile. It's in the late hours of the night, when the echoes of laughter still ring in the air. But a strange, hollow feeling settles in your chest. You have everything, haven't you? The career, the relationships, the possessions, the experiences, all the ingredients that society, that self-help gurus, that even your closest friends have told you will lead to happiness. So why, then, does this persistent whisper of something missing, something fundamentally absent, continue to haunt the edges of your awareness? Could it be that the very pursuit of happiness, as it is commonly understood, is a cleverly constructed trap, a mirage shimmering in the desert of our desires, leading us further away from genuine fulfillment with every frantic step we take towards it? Consider the endless stream of self-improvement advice, the relentless pursuit of external validation, the constant striving for the next milestone, the bigger house, the more prestigious title, the more likes on social media. Are these truly pathways to lasting joy? Or are they merely elaborate distractions, keeping us tethered to a cycle of wanting, a perpetual state of dissatisfaction disguised as ambition? What if the happiness we so desperately seek is not something to be attained, but something to be unveiled? What if it is not a destination to be reached, but a state of being that is already within us, obscured by layers of societal conditioning, misplaced priorities, and the relentless pursuit of an idealized future? Imagine a beautifully intricate tapestry, woven with threads of genuine connection, purpose, and presence. But instead of appreciating its inherent beauty, we are constantly trying to add more and more glittering threads, convinced that only then will it be truly magnificent. In our frantic efforts to embellish it, do we risk obscuring the very essence of what makes it beautiful in the first place? What if the relentless pursuit of positive emotions, the avoidance of anything that feels uncomfortable or negative, is actually preventing us from experiencing the full spectrum of human existence, the very richness and complexity that gives life its deepest meaning? Are we so afraid of sadness, of vulnerability, of the messy, imperfect realities of life, that we have constructed an elaborate facade of artificial happiness, a gilded cage where we are both the architects and the prisoners? This is the great question that hangs in the air, a question that cuts to the very core of our modern existence. Are you truly happy? Or are you merely trapped in the illusion of happiness? And if it is the latter, how do you even begin to discern the difference? How do you find your way back to something real, something authentic, something that resonates with the deepest parts of your being, beyond the fleeting highs and manufactured smiles? The journey to unraveling this profound paradox begins now. That persistent whisper, that hollow ache in the perfectly constructed architecture of your life, is not a sign of your failure. It is not evidence of a flaw in your gratitude or a weakness in your character. It is the sound of truth, a distress signal from a deeper self that recognizes the cage even when you cannot. To understand the walls of this prison, we must excavate its foundations, digging deep into the soil of human psychology and the ancient bedrock of philosophy. For this illusion is not a modern invention. It is an ancient vulnerability, now amplified and exploited on a scale humanity has never before witnessed. The primary mechanism of this trap has a name in the sterile language of psychology, the hedonic treadmill. But a clinical term fails to capture its soul-crushing reality. Think of it instead as the horizon of happiness, a line you can see, that you can walk towards with all your might, but one you can never, ever reach. Each time you achieve a goal you were certain would deliver lasting joy, the promotion, the soulmate, the dream home, you experience a fleeting surge of euphoria. For a moment, you feel you have arrived. But then, almost imperceptibly at first, the feeling dissipates. The extraordinary becomes ordinary. The new baseline is set, and your eyes are already scanning the horizon for the next thing, the next achievement that promises to finally, truly, make you happy. You are running faster and faster, only to remain in exactly the same place emotionally. The great Stoic philosophers saw this 2 millennia ago. Seneca, writing from a position of immense wealth and power in the Roman Empire, observed this very same spiritual sickness in the world around him. It is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more. That is poor, he wrote. He understood that true wealth, true contentment, had nothing to do with what you possess in the external world. It is a quality of the soul. The illusion you are trapped in is one that the Stoics would diagnose as a fundamental confusion between what is within our control and what is not. You have spent your life meticulously arranging the things you cannot truly control, the opinions of others, your social standing, your possessions, believing they were the source code for joy. Meanwhile, the one thing you do have absolute dominion over, your inner world, your judgments, your responses, has been left untended, a wild garden overrun by the weeds of external validation. This external focus is not merely a bad habit, it is a deep psychological wound. The psychoanalyst Karen Horney called it the tyranny of the shoulds. From a young age, you are bombarded with messages about who you should be. You should be successful. You should be attractive. You should be popular. You should be, above all else, happy. An idealized image of yourself is constructed, a flawless, smiling avatar built from the spare parts of societal expectations, parental hopes, and the filtered perfection of social media. You then spend the rest of your life trying to contort your true, messy, gloriously imperfect self to fit this impossible mold. The constant tension between who you are and who you feel you should be is the source of that deep, gnawing anxiety. The happiness you chase is not your own. It is the happiness of this idealized phantom. And so, even when you achieve it, it feels hollow, because it was never meant for you. The existentialists stared into this same abyss and saw it not as a psychological flaw, but as a feature of the human condition itself. They argued that we are condemned to be free. We are thrown into a universe without inherent meaning or a pre-written script. This absolute freedom is terrifying. And so, to escape the dizzying responsibility of creating our own values, our own purpose, we grasp for the pre-packaged narratives offered to us. The narrative of the successful career, the narrative of the perfect family, the narrative of the happy life. These are comfortable, well-trodden paths. Following them allows us to feel a sense of security, a sense of progress. But it is the progress of a prisoner pacing the floor of their cell. Jean-Paul Sartre would say that in doing so, you are living in bad faith, denying your own freedom by pretending to be an object, a thing defined by its function or its label, rather than a conscious, choosing subject. This ancient vulnerability, our craving for more, our search for external validation, our flight from freedom, has now been weaponized. Consumer capitalism is built on the engine of the hedonic treadmill. Its survival depends on you constantly believing that the next purchase will fix the emptiness. Social media operates as a globalized tyranny of the shoulds, presenting billions of idealized avatars to which you must compare your unvarnished reality. The self-help industry has become a multi-billion-dollar enterprise, selling you the promise of happiness but ensuring the horizon always recedes. So you keep coming back for the next book, the next seminar, the next secret. The problem, you see, is not that you are failing to achieve happiness. The problem is that the version of happiness you have been sold is, by its very design, a counterfeit. It is a ghost. And in chasing this ghost, you have been led into a labyrinth. But this labyrinth does more than just keep you from your goal. It subtly, silently, begins to change you, warping your perception of reality in ways you have not even begun to notice. The consequences are far more profound than mere disappointment. They are an invisible erosion of the self. This invisible erosion of the self is not a dramatic, sudden collapse, but a slow, silent poisoning of your reality. The illusion of happiness doesn't just disappoint you. It fundamentally rewires your internal world, changing how you think, how you feel, and how you perceive the very fabric of existence. It operates through the subtle exploitation of your own mind's architecture, turning your cognitive faculties against you until you become the unwitting guardian of your own prison. At a neurological level, you are being chemically hijacked. Your brain has two primary pathways for feeling good, and you have been conditioned to favor the wrong one. The illusion you are chasing is fueled almost exclusively by dopamine, the chemical of seeking, of wanting, of reward. It is the neurotransmitter of anticipation. It's the thrill of the chase, the hit you get when a notification appears, the surge you feel when you make a purchase or receive a compliment. Dopamine is designed to be fleeting. Its purpose is to drive you forward, to make you want more. Our modern world has become a dopamine casino, with social media feeds, shopping apps, and career ladders all serving as slot machines, engineered to give you just enough of a hit to keep you pulling the lever. But this is not the neurochemistry of contentment. True, lasting well-being is associated with serotonin, the chemical of satisfaction, of connection, of being at peace with what is. It is the quiet warmth of a deep conversation, the feeling of belonging within a community, the gentle joy of being present in a beautiful moment without needing to capture or commodify it. By constantly chasing the dopamine highs of external achievement, you are systematically neglecting the cultivation of serotonin. Your brain, through the power of neuroplasticity, begins to physically change. The neural pathways for seeking and wanting become deep, well-worn trenches, while the pathways for presence and contentment atrophy from disuse. You are literally programming yourself to be perpetually dissatisfied, hardwiring your brain for a state of endless, unquenchable craving. This neurological reprogramming is protected by a cohort of cognitive biases, mental shortcuts that now serve to reinforce the illusion. You fall victim to confirmation bias, where your mind actively scans your environment for evidence that validates your pre-existing belief. You see the curated highlight reels of others, the promotions, the exotic vacations, the picture-perfect families, and your brain whispers, "See? The formula works. I just need to try harder. I just need to achieve that one more thing." Simultaneously, you are blinded by survivorship bias. You fixate on the one person who became a millionaire by working 100-hour weeks, while ignoring the 99 others who did the same and ended up with nothing but burnout and broken relationships. The illusion parades its rare winners as proof of concept, expertly hiding the vast graveyard of its unfulfilled casualties. Your own memory even conspires against you through the peak-end rule, which dictates that you don't remember an experience in its totality, but rather by its most intense moment, the peak, and how it concluded. You remember the exhilarating peak of signing the contract for your new house, but you forget the months of low-grade anxiety that preceded it and the slow, creeping return to your baseline happiness that followed. Your memory edits out the long, flat plains of the hedonic treadmill and replays only the fleeting, dopamine-fueled peaks, convincing you that the next peak will be the one that lasts forever. The consequences ripple outward from your mind into the very soul of your life. Experiences are no longer things to be lived, but assets to be leveraged. A hike in the mountains is not about the crisp air or the ache in your legs, but about capturing the perfect photo for social currency, proving you are living a full and enviable life. A conversation becomes a transaction, an opportunity to signal your own intelligence or success rather than a space for genuine connection. Empathy begins to atrophy. When you are so completely consumed by the narrative of your own striving, your next goal, your next inadequacy, the struggles of others become faint background noise. You become the main character in a movie only you are watching, surrounded by a cast of supporting characters and extras, leading to a profound and unshakable loneliness, even when you are in a crowded room. The most insidious consequence of all is the development of a deep-seated fear of stillness. In a world built to keep you running, silence becomes the enemy. For it is in the quiet moments, devoid of distraction, that the truth of the illusion threatens to surface. It is in the silence that you might finally hear the whisper of your authentic self, asking what all this running is for. And so you fill every spare second with noise, with podcasts, with music, with endless scrolling. You become a fugitive from your own inner world. This is the true cost. It is not just that you are not happy. It is that you are slowly losing the very capacity for the things that constitute a meaningful life. Deep connection, genuine presence, authentic purpose, and inner peace. You are becoming a ghost in your own existence, a beautifully decorated shell animated by the relentless pursuit of an ever-receding phantom. When the very wiring of your brain and the fabric of your culture are meticulously designed to keep you in this state, is escape even possible? Or are you simply destined to run on this treadmill until the motor finally burns out, leaving you with nothing but the echo of a life you were too busy chasing to ever truly live? You are destined to run on this treadmill until the motor burns out, leaving you a ghost in your own life. This is the conclusion the illusion wants you to reach. It is the final lock on the cage door, the feeling of utter hopelessness. And yet, the key to your freedom has been in your pocket the entire time. The escape does not lie in running faster, fighting harder, or finding a better treadmill. The escape begins with a single, radical, and profoundly counterintuitive act. You must stop. You must simply stop playing the game. To break free from the illusion of happiness is not an act of achievement. It is an act of rebellion. It is a declaration of war against the tyranny of shoulds and a radical acceptance of what is. The first revolutionary act is to lay down your arms in the lifelong battle against your own negative emotions. For decades, you have been told that sadness, anxiety, boredom, and fear are enemies to be vanquished. You have been sold 1,000 remedies, distractions, and positive affirmations to keep them at bay. But what if these emotions are not adversaries, but messengers? What if your anxiety is simply a sign that you are living out of alignment with your values? What if your sadness is a testament to your capacity to love and connect? By trying to numb or outrun these feelings, you have been fighting a civil war against yourself. The moment you stop, the moment you allow yourself to feel the full spectrum of your humanity without judgment, the war ends. You create a space of unconditional self-acceptance. In this space, the frantic need for an external happiness fix begins to dissolve because you are no longer terrified of the alternative. You discover a quiet strength in your own vulnerability. This is not apathy. It is the deepest form of courage. With this newfound inner peace as your foundation, you can begin to dismantle the machinery of the illusion piece by piece. You can adopt the ancient Stoic practice of premeditatio malorum, or negative visualization. Instead of spending your mornings visualizing success, spend 5 minutes vividly imagining the loss of something you currently cherish, your health, your home, a loved one. This is not an exercise in morbidity. It is a powerful psychological antidote to the hedonic treadmill. By briefly and consciously touching the void of loss, you return to your day with a profound, soul-shaking gratitude for what you already have. The ordinary becomes extraordinary again. Your morning coffee, the sound of a familiar voice, the simple act of breathing, they all become sources of immense joy, a joy that isn't dependent on the next achievement. You must then seize control of the definition of success itself. You reclaim it from the external world and anchor it firmly within. You stop measuring your day by what you accomplished and start measuring it by the character you embodied. Did you act with courage? Did you show compassion? Did you remain true to your principles, even when it was difficult? You cannot control whether you get the promotion, whether your work is praised, or whether you are admired. But you have absolute, sovereign control over your own virtue. By making this the metric of a successful life, you enter a game you can win every single day. You become, as the Roman Emperor Marcus Aurelius sought to be, an emperor not of the world, but of your own inner citadel. You can then elevate this acceptance to the level of art by embracing the Nietzschean concept of amor fati, a love of one's fate. This is the practice of not just accepting, but loving everything that happens in your life, the triumphs, the disasters, the beauty, and the pain. It is the wisdom to see that every single event, every setback, every wound, was a necessary brushstroke in the masterpiece of who you are. With this mindset, you are no longer a victim of circumstance. You are a willing, enthusiastic participant in your own unfolding destiny. The question, "Why is this happening to me?" is replaced by the powerful declaration, "This is my life, and I would not have it any other way." If you doubt the power of these shifts, consider the story of Viktor Frankl, an Austrian psychiatrist who was stripped of everything, his family, his home, his name, and thrown into the hell of a Nazi concentration camp. Surrounded by death and unimaginable suffering, he observed a profound truth. The prisoners who were most likely to survive were not the physically strongest, but those who held on to a sense of meaning, a why that transcended their suffering. Frankl found his meaning in his love for his wife, and in the drive to one day teach the world the psychological lessons he was learning. He proved that meaning can be found in the darkest of places. That purpose is a more powerful fuel than pleasure. His life is the ultimate testament that the pursuit of happiness is a distraction from our true calling, the pursuit of meaning. You have the tools. You have the wisdom passed down through millennia. You can stop the war with yourself. You can cultivate gratitude, redefine success, and love your fate. You can choose meaning over fleeting pleasure. This is not self-help. It is self-liberation. You are no longer a cog in the machine, a ghost on the treadmill. You are the architect of your inner world, the artist of your own life. You have learned how to break the chains of the illusion. But this begs a final, deeper question, one that leads to the ultimate realization. Now that you are free from chasing the ghost of happiness, what awaits you on the other side? What reality appears when you finally stop running and open your eyes to what has been there, waiting for you, all along? So you have stepped off the treadmill. You have laid down your arms. You stand now in the quiet space you have carved out for yourself. And you ask, what lies on the other side? What great prize awaits the one who breaks free? The silence that answers you is, at first, unnerving. There are no fireworks, no angelic choirs, no sudden, permanent state of bliss descends upon you. There is only the simple, unadorned texture of reality, and in that simplicity lies the final and most powerful realization of all. The ultimate illusion was never the specific vision of happiness you were chasing. The career, the wealth, the love, those were merely symptoms. The ultimate illusion, the original lie from which all others were born, was the idea that there was a destination at all. You have spent your entire life believing that you were on a journey to somewhere, that life was a problem to be solved, a race to be won, a summit to be reached. You believed that one day, if you just tried hard enough, you would finally arrive. But you were never meant to arrive. This is the paradigm shift that changes everything. The struggle, the striving, the pain, the moments of fleeting joy. That was not the path to life. That was life. You were listening to a grand symphony, convinced that the entire point was to get to the final note. In your frantic anticipation of the finale, you missed the music. You failed to notice the heartbreaking beauty of the violins, the thunderous power of the percussion, the poignant whisper of the flute. The point was never the end. The point was always the listening. From this new vantage point, your past transforms. The years you spent chasing ghosts on the hedonic treadmill were not wasted. The anxiety, the disappointment, the gnawing feeling of inadequacy were not failures. They were the dissonant chords in your symphony, the very tension that made the eventual resolution so profound. Every moment of suffering was a teacher. Every false summit was a lesson. The pain of the illusion was the necessary catalyst that forced you to awaken, to seek something real. There is nothing to regret, only a past to integrate with compassion, as the necessary curriculum for your own liberation. Think of the idealized life you were sold, the one you chased with such desperate devotion. It was a theme park, a magic kingdom of happiness, meticulously designed to enchant you. Its name was whispered with reverence. Its map promised endless delights. There were thrilling rides of career success, gentle river cruises of perfect relationships, and castles of material wealth that glittered in the sun. And you ran through it, map in hand, frantic to experience it all. You stood in line for hours, chasing the fleeting dopamine rush of the next attraction, certain that the next ride would be the one to finally deliver on the park's promise. But in your frantic rush from one point to the next, you failed to see what was truly around you. You never noticed the paint was peeling on the cheerful facades. You never heard the subtle groan of rusting machinery beneath the cheerful music. You never felt the deep, unsettling stillness of a place built to simulate joy rather than contain it. You were not in a kingdom of magic. You were in an abandoned park, a place like River Country or Discovery Island, a monument to a beautiful promise that had long been broken. You were chasing the ghost of a memory through a decaying dream. The final realization is that your freedom does not come from finding the one real ride in this derelict park. It comes from seeing the crumbling fences for what they are and having the courage to step over them. The invitation is to leave the park behind, to drop the faded, torn map, to to step off the cracked pavement of the preordained path and into the wild, untamed, and gloriously unpredictable wilderness of your own authentic existence. Here, there are no signposts, there are no guaranteed rewards. There is no promise of perpetual sunshine. There is only the raw, unfiltered experience of being. There is the feeling of the earth beneath your feet, the wind on your skin, the warmth of the sun, and the bite of the frost. There is darkness, and there is light. There is beauty, and there is terror. And you are finally present for all of it. You are no longer a seeker because you have realized there was never anything to find. You are no longer a becoming because you have embraced the perfection of your own being, right here, right now. You are a witness to the breathtaking, heartbreaking, terrifying, and sacred mystery of a life that is not happening to you, but as you. The search is over. The living can now begin.